everybody. Hello and welcome. This is BP Productions Podcast, where we share life, share stories, and encourage others. I am your host, Bruce Pineda, and I am super excited to be bringing you episode number 6 of BP Productions Podcast. Thank you, Angel. So we share life, share stories, and encourage others. Guys, I'm super excited because our goal was to make it to episode 7, just like season 1 was to make it to episode 7. And we're there. We're just about there. And next week's episode will be the last one to wrap up season 2. But yes, we are bringing you a very special episode today. But before I introduce my very special guest, remember this will only be found on YouTube.com because I want to grow that channel as best as possible and as genuine as possible. The last thing there, my Instagram, if you want to follow kind of my day-to-day, is bruce.pineda, BRUCE.PINEDA. Last week's episode, we had my good friend Paul, and I know you guys enjoyed that story, and just shout out to Paul, and thank you for going ahead and tuning into that and allowing him to share his life, his story, and encourage you. And so that leads me to my very special guest, Angel Ibarra.
How's it going, guys?
Angel, we know you a lot.
Oh, yeah. I think it's my 4th time or 3rd time.
For sure. The OG viewers that have been here since the beginning, Angel was my first guest on here. And man, did I grill him with a bunch of questions, and we just dove into everything from fatherhood to manlyhood to success, to just a whole bunch of different things. But Angel, you brought a lot of wisdom in that, and you brought a lot of just good things to share, and I super appreciate that.
I appreciate that, Bruce. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. But how are you doing, Angel?
I'm okay. Pretty blessed, I guess you could say.
Pretty blessed, yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing to complain about right now. So.
Yeah, anything new? So I think last time we spoke, our viewers knew that you had a new baby on the way.
I was wondering if I actually said that.
I believe you did.
Yeah. We are 6 weeks out now from having the baby.
6 weeks.
Yeah, we're counting down the weeks now, and it's a little scary, a little intimidating, but 3rd one.
Yeah. I
already know the game plan, what it looks like, and hardest part about it is sleeping on the uncomfortable couch in the pregnancy room. So yeah, Shannon just has the hardest part of the job. So
yeah, for sure.
I just got to be there for her and do what a dad should do, is just be there for his partner.
Yeah, for sure. And it is a girl.
Oh, that it is. Yes.
Yeah. It is the 3rd girl.
The 3rd girl. Wow. Yeah. I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. But yeah, I wanted a boy. It would have been great to have a boy, but wasn't in the cards. But a healthy child's a healthy child from God, so I'm okay with that.
For sure. And name?
The day of, okay. Like the hour after.
I try to get out of him.
Yeah, I have no idea what the name's gonna be. No, we keep wrestling with names day to day. This is a topic we have every day. Whether I'm at work and I call her, like, oh, let's throw some baby names out there.
Yeah,
haven't gotten one yet.
No,
not at all.
Wow,
we're trying to stick to the S's, but you know.
Oh yeah. Scarlett, Sophia.
I wanted Samantha. That's not happening, apparently. So just know that Bruce's younger sister, one of the twins, has that name claimed. So
I see.
I can't win that
or
one. Or
Savannah. Didn't that ever pop up or no?
Yeah, Savannah too.
Savannah.
Wait, was it what number did it say? Samantha?
You said Samantha.
Oh, no. Samantha was because of you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Savannah was because of the sister. There you go. Got that one flipped over.
Okay. That's neat. Yeah. I always thought about that, like, I figured you guys would already have that baby name in place and just not share it because, well, why do people have a problem with sharing their baby name? Like, I get it, but like, you really think I'm gonna have a baby and just take the name? Does that really happen?
I mean, yeah, I don't know what it is. It's more of like, if I name my baby this name, oh, it sounds pretty. I should have thought of it first, and I'm gonna take it. So, I don't know. To me, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody else has the name, it's just petty. I don't know. Shannon believes like don't say the name or whatever if we know a name, but we really don't know the name. Sophia was born like 30 minutes after she was born, or was it 30 minutes? Maybe an hour after she was born. We were in another room after pregnancy, and they gave us a paper like, oh, what's the baby's name? And I looked at Shannon like, help me out here.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it. Like the baby's here. Oh, what's the baby's name? Nah, I don't know. I'm still looking at the piece of paper to tell me what the name is.
Yeah.
So maybe when the baby's born,
you'll have it right then and there.
We'll
you guys will have solidified it.
Well,
right
not
there.
me. Shannon will have the name.
Shannon gets the final say.
Yeah. With Scarlett's name, Shannon already knew Scarlett's name.
Yeah.
Immediately. Her middle name, I got to name her, and Sophia, we both kind of agreed it was a really nice name. Sophia's middle name, not my idea.
No,
not at all. So this baby around, I told her, I'm like, well, I get to have the first name now. And she's like, no, you don't. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know what's gonna be.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to hear about that. 6 weeks.
6 weeks. I think
it's a coming.
Yeah,
it's a coming.
It's crazy.
Sweet. All right, Angel. So this, when I was planning this episode, I'll be honest with you guys. I give a lot of detail, and I try to plan as best I can with these episodes because I want to get the best out of the guest, and I want it to be a good conversation, a really good conversation. And Angel and I have good conversations off camera all the time. All the time. Right. So, but I just wanted to, with this opportunity, I always want to give a good effort to it. So I struggled a lot trying to just get the best out of it, but then I prayed about it, and I was able to focus in and write some good things down. But I came up with these two things, and I titled it "Wrestling with God" and "Wrestling with Yourself." And yeah, we're just gonna jump right into that because those two things, wrestling with God, deep. Wrestling with yourself, sounds deep. Deep topic. So, and overall, we're gonna answer the general question: what does it mean to wrestle with God? So, with that, guys, let's go into it. I wanted to share a story. Angel, have you ever heard of Jacob and Esau in the Bible? No. Okay. So let me tell you, and I'll give you a brief overview, right? And I wrote it down here so I wouldn't necessarily forget either, right? So Jacob and Esau, they are brothers. And Jacob ends up betraying Esau. And what happens is that Jacob ends up running away because his brother is now really mad at him and basically wants to kill him. Okay, so Jacob runs away, and years later, God reaches out to Jacob, and he says, "Jacob, I want you to go back home." And Jacob's like, "Go back home? Like, wow, like I'm like, what do you mean? My brother was there to kill me, right? Like, why would I go back home like that? I am not trying to do that." And so what happens during the night, Jacob ends up going out to like camp out by a river, and he ends up falling asleep. And this is when the story gets kind of crazy. He ends up waking up, and he starts wrestling. You probably heard this, but he starts wrestling with this stranger, and they keep going back and forth, wrestling up all the way until the morning, the next morning. And right then and there, what happens is the stranger ends up touching Jacob's hip, and when he just touches it, Jacob becomes basically his hip comes out of place, and now he's like limping, and the fight is over, the match is over, right? And when that happens, they're still, wrestling each other, but like trying to, when you're wrestling, right, trying to let go of each other, right? And what ends up happening is that the stranger's like, "Hey, let me go," and Jacob says, "I'm not gonna let you go until I get a blessing," because what Jacob knew about this person was that it just felt something special. Like this was not just an ordinary person. This is somebody special. And then the stranger replies, "I'm going to give you a new name. Your new name is not going to be Jacob. Your new name is going to be Israel. And what that means is one who wrestles with God. And you have fought with man, and you have fought with God, and won." Right? So then that happens. And after that, after that happens, it's revealed that the stranger was God. And Jacob goes and ends up going to meet Esau, his brother, goes back home, and actually all is good. And the moral of the story is that he ended up trusting God. Right. So with that, that answered a lot of questions for me in those two, right? Wrestling with God, wrestling with yourself. I think a lot of the times, we're faced with different matters, whatever it is. Should I do this? Should I do that? Is this the right way to go? Is this the wrong way to go? God's telling me to do this, but my heart's telling me to do this. We're conflicted with decisions and all the time. Would you say? Yeah. For sure. So, let's just jump right into it. Angel, was there ever a time that you ever felt that you wrestled with God?
It's funny you said that, because when you're just speaking, you put me back into a place where I can kind of remember when I had those questions. So, for the viewers in there, for everybody, and I'm sure you know this by now, but I was baptized as a Mormon, right? Mm-hmm. So we went to church at Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I think I was like 7 or 8 when I started asking questions about God. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to wrap my whole thing around it, right? I lived in housing. We didn't have money growing up, so to me, God wasn't a very big focal point, right? At that age, anyways. My mom and my grandma, they've always told me, there's a God in heaven. We go up to heaven if we're good people, follow in his ways, and that's pretty much it. I've never read the Bible up until this point. Actually, a little side note, I've been listening to the Bible on YouTube as what is it called? An audiobook. Yeah. And it's pretty cool. Really? Pretty cool. Yeah. But it just kind of opened a whole other new can of worms for me. So It is like wild, but we'll get later onto that one.
I gotcha.
Sorry, I need to take a deep breath here.
No, you're good.
It's been a while since we've done this together.
Yeah, for sure. You're good.
So me wrestling with God, I think when I started asking those questions, as far as it wasn't more of a directional path of what I should choose. I did have that once, but I'll say this one first. I know when I was younger, there's a specific memory that I had that my mom was sick, and I don't know whether or not she was in school, at work, but I know she was so over exhausted that I remember seeing her on the bed with her head over the bed, her arm over the bed, and just hanging there. Mm-hmm. And I remember just in fear of like what was happening. I don't know who called, like my tia or my tío. I don't know what happened. All I know is that specific moment, I asked God, why am I here? Why is my family in this situation? Yeah. And as everybody knows, I've given a little detail into my life. My mom was a single mom, right? So I just envy a lot. That is my one sin that I carry with me every day, is envy. Okay. And I just kept asking, why are we so poor? Yeah. Why did God have to give us this life? Why is it that we have to go to food banks? Why is it that we have to live here with like violence? And it wasn't so bad. My mom wouldn't say it was so bad, but you see, my mom had lived a different life where it was a lot worse. Yeah. But when you have like gang fights out on the street, just being able to see it, gunshots, you hear all that, and it's kind of like, why am I here? Why? What did we do to deserve this? Yeah. Why are people born in different circumstances easier? Because all I saw was nothing but suffering all the time. Yeah. And that was my first struggle with it. It was super hard to get away from that, and I still somewhat carry that with me to this day. But that was my first struggle with
wrestling.
God. Yeah, with God. Just wrestling with the fact that He lets this happen.
Yeah. And so with that, I guess you kind of answered the question with what you just explained, but that why is it so hard for humans, for the human race to trust and believe that there is a God that is good and that loves them and that wants the best for them?
I mean, it's amazing to say, hey, I go into Las Vegas and I win $2 million. I win $1 million. People would be thanking God right then and there, or oh, I'm super lucky. But if I were to win, I'd be, oh my God, you're great, you're amazing, thank you. Yeah, I'm not poor anymore. But when something bad happens, how could you let this happen? Yeah. And it's so hard for people to understand that God doesn't have in my opinion, God doesn't have a big impact on what happens to your day-to-day life. I believe that he has laid out a path for you, and that path has already been set since you came into the world.
Yeah.
So some people end up taking it for like, well, if he's all powerful, almighty, and all good, why does he let all these bad things happen in the world?
Yeah.
The fact is that he gave us free will.
Yeah.
Everybody can make a huge difference. They just don't know how to.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put it on God when he gave you the chance to do it. He tried to give you, he gave you a chance. He sent his son. The son died on the cross so we can go back up.
Yeah.
That was his chance for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's hard to say that, you know, it's hard for people to actually believe that God is good when there's bad things around the world, but he made you good.
Yeah.
You could do good.
Yeah.
By the extension, you are doing his work.
Yeah, for sure. And so how do you combat all that? I mean, let's just talk about you specifically, Angel. When things feel like they're crumbling, or, you know, something that happened, it's not what you projected to happen. Things didn't work out the way you wanted to. You know, how do you combat that with you still saying to yourself that, like you said, God's laid out a good path for me. You know, what do I do next?
Well, not gonna lie, I do have a certain moment where I just kind of shut down. I don't sleep very well. I don't eat very well, and I kind of come to this. It's like I'm almost fasting in a way.
Yeah.
But I do enter this spiral, and you know, Shannon has seen this a couple times throughout being with me. Right, I have like little breakdowns, and somehow I get through it. But back then it wasn't me, how to say it wasn't my belief in God. It was more of a, you can't quit.
Yeah.
My mom's always raised us to keep going. It doesn't matter. Put your feelings aside. Continue moving forward.
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to get out of it where then you can express those feelings later after you've crossed that path.
Okay.
You know? So as of now, when I get into like a huge stressful scenario where I'm like, man, what's next? Like you
what's
said,
next?
you know, what's next? I really just say God will take care of it, and I'm just gonna keep going.
God will take care of it.
I don't like to stress about stuff that I can't handle, or I can't physically take care of myself. So when it's something that I can and I really can't, it makes me break down. But I know God will eventually take care of me because I got 2 beautiful girls, a wife, and a new one coming, and I can't afford to stop.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. And, you know, my next thing into that was like, how do you fight for yourself? But you basically just answered that. You know, it's believing that, you know, at the end of the day, God's going to take care of it. I know I'm stressing out right now, but I have that belief, you know, even if my feelings say something completely different, I still have that belief and that hope.
Yeah, because there's a lot of self-doubt. Yeah, I have a lot of self-doubt. I'm not very... I don't ever see myself as good enough. I've always seen myself as just enough to get by, you know? So sometimes it kind of takes me aback when I'm like, okay, maybe I'm kind of good at this, or maybe I should do this because I know what's going on, and I just don't. And that's one of my things, is that the wrestling of the idea with God sometimes comes back to, what are your talents in life? Yeah. At the end, when you die and you go in front of, I forgot who we're going in front of, but
go before God.
Go before God. So we go before God and we look at the book of life, right? And he sees all the accomplishments, all the story, all of your history, right, in that book. And you see that you know, God said, oh, you know, you're a doctor, you're a singer, you were a musician, you were, you know, this and that, and you have to look at God and say, that wasn't me, God. Well, this is what you should have been. You just wrestled with the fact that I gave you all these talents, you should have used them, you know? So knowing that everything that was been given to you, all your talents were from God and you're not using them, I wrestle with that every day just because I want to make sure I'm using everything I can.
Doing it to the best of your ability.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so a lot of the Angel, I mean, and we've talked about this before, us being men, you know, and our families depending on you, like you said, you know,
right.
My nieces, your daughters, my sister, you know, your wife, you know, how do you not let that affect them? And do you show them your emotions? Do you show them what you're going through? Or do you try to hide all this and just pretend it's not happening?
So with my daughters, I hide everything. If I'm feeling a certain way, it's hard to deal with anger because they could see it. But if I'm like completely sad, I try to hide it. Mm-hmm. If I'm so stressed out that I'm having like this emotional panic attack, and I'm kind of feeling like I'm suffocating, I don't let them see it. Mm-hmm. Shannon will see it sometimes if I'm really broken, but sometimes it's not worth showing her either because then she worries. And it's kind of like me, myself, I have to fight my own demons just so that way everybody's okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm not alone, right? So I have God, but it's a lot of the times where you feel like you're just losing the battle every which way. Yeah. And God is the only person that you hold on to. Of course, you're going to struggle with it. You're like, man, I need to see results today. Yeah. I need something to change tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But kind of plans in the future. So you kind of have to just write it out with them and believe in it. Yeah. That's how I see it. But, you know, I don't see a lot of men ever opening up to their wives about it. Yeah. And a lot of the times it either helps them or kind of breaks them down. It's depending by person. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't want to go too off topic here, but what do you think that reason is? Do you think it's just kind of built into our DNA that we don't want to show emotion, or we believe that's not good to show emotion, or we feel like we're going to get judged because of that?
So I might see it differently, just a slight bit, because I was raised by my mom, and my mom was not very emotional, but she always said to talk about your emotions. Yeah. So I've always talked about my emotions to someone specifically. Yeah. You know, and it was always my mom. Shannon, sometimes when you know, I need to hear her input about it, but in reality, I think we're really best off just dealing with it ourselves. Sometimes when we can figure out the problem instead of somebody else telling us where the problem's at in yourself, it might help you a little bit better. Sometimes it just takes somebody to tell you what your problem is. Yeah. So, you know, you take it with a grain of salt, which way. But I think that for us, I think we're just conditioned that way now. Yeah. You know, maybe not the newer generation, right? Yeah. But my generation, your generation, the generations before that, they ask, who do you call if you're just ready to break down? Yeah. Most men will say no one.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, that's a tough thing, and we could open up a whole conversation about that, to be honest. Yeah, just to add onto that, like you said, there's a hindrance of wanting to not show your emotion because I think it makes you feel. It makes you feel weak. Not that you are weak, but it sometimes it makes you feel like that. But I do believe that it's so important to share what you're feeling. And like you said, to who, I don't necessarily know, but it should be somebody obviously that you trust and that you know that's gonna be an ear to listen to you.
Right. Yeah. Because at that point, it's hard for men to do it. It's very hard. You're showing a vein. You know. Yeah. Like, hey, you want to hurt me? This is how you hurt me. Yeah. Just listen to me say this, and maybe you'll understand why I'm the way I am.
Yeah. So, I mean, that goes back, right, to just fighting with yourself, right? Right. Fighting with yourself. And so, to move on to the next thing, Angel, with men, and not only men, but women, right? Struggling with depression, feeling helpless. You know, maybe they know God, maybe they don't know God. But have you ever been in that state where you do feel depressed? And what do you recommend to somebody to get out of that? How do you claw your way out of that? You're fighting with yourself. You're fighting with your emotions. Or do you know somebody who struggled with that?
Well, I mean, see, this is a tough one just because it depends on who your person is. I think I said this the last time on one of the other episodes. You need to know who your person is. And luckily, I have two. My mom and my wife.
Yeah.
They're my only two people that I ever go to when my world's crumbling, you know, whether it be my job or just like something that's affecting me emotionally enough to where I'm like, man, either I'm going to just stay in my car and just cry by myself, or I'm going to talk it through, shed a tear or two, and just be done with it. But I really think that in order to get out of it, you need to bleed a little in front of a person you trust.
Yeah.
That's about it. Depression is all state of mind, right? And if you can't let it go, it just eats at you. And if you don't have a strong belief in God that everything will be better because of the plan He's laid out for you, then you're just caught in a circle. You're just in that whole loop. Yeah. Going depressed to being okay, going back to being depressed. I just think something you have to overcome with somebody. You just can't do it by yourself. You just need somebody. And sometimes, if you don't, all you can rely on yourself. So do the best you can, but reach out to somebody.
No, for sure. Yeah, so I guess you would agree, right? If you keep all those things in, it'll manifest itself in probably like anger, like we said, depression, outbursts.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, that's more. It's more of the deadliest things for a man is a man who literally says nothing, takes it all in, continuously, doesn't say how they're doing. Just every day is, I'm fine, and they're not. And the moment they snap, the world snaps with them. Yeah. Just because people will see the repercussions of that, and that's why it's more of mental health, and men's mental health is so important just because we've been trained that way. Even if my like an example for myself, my mom has always told me to talk about her feelings. The moment you talk about your feelings to another person, to another guy in a different scenario, when it's just you and them, you'll notice that that's not the norm to do. You just shut up, keep going, don't talk about it, it'll pass through. So that's what's scary. I have a brother who's exactly like that. All he does is internalize things. He just keeps it to himself. One day he snaps, and you could tell like it's a lot more than what was there. So
it's important to have good people around you
all the time.
No, for sure. Definitely. And that's kind of our next thing, support, right? So you said Shannon, you said your mom. How does somebody, not only yourself, but how does somebody choose those people to? I worded it like this. How do you choose the people that influence your life? How do you choose that?
I mean, they say like be careful who you make friends with, right? Because sometimes their personalities or their habits become your habits, right? So there's a certain time where like either you associate yourself with people that are better than you in the matter of personality, mentally, or just overall, I would say like in a better mood. If you're down in the slumps and you're with a whole group of people or with a person who's just happy, occasionally one of you is going to break, and it's not going to be the good person. The person that's happy is just generally going to be happy. And sometimes you're going to see something in a different light that allows you to go with them and just be happy. So I guess if you just find your opposite, right? Opposites attract. And you kind of go from there. I think that's the only way you could do it.
I remember you told me that. I think one of the first times that you and Shannon started dating, you said something, but I remember you saying that phrase, opposites attract.
It is. It is a.
So you stand by that years down the road now. You still stand by that.
Me and Shannon are still at odds sometimes with certain things, but I'm crazy about her. So it's always going to be like that.
No, for sure. For sure. The other thing of Support Angel, so we've talked about value, right? And the people that give your life value, or your value, right? Mm-hmm. The value of person. So, but also the value of opinions, right? So, not only just because us guys, but just generally people. People talk about other people all the time.
Right.
They give their opinions about people all the time.
Correct.
So with that, how much value do you give to people's opinions, and what's your criteria to what one person's opinion matters over the other?
Well, I mean, certain times where you might not agree with what they say. And as an example of this, right, me and you are completely different. We were raised differently, completely. Yeah. As you know, I have a really bad potty mouth. I am really bad at that. And I'm really happy that I haven't let one slip actually on the podcast.
Gotcha.
So I'm really trying. I really think about what I'm saying here.
No worries.
But a lot of the times, I remember when you would question a lot of the things I would do and why I would do so.
Yeah.
Why I got upset. And I think we can actually come back to this in a religious standpoint.
Go for it.
When Scarlett was of the age to talk about God, I didn't want her to.
I think I remember that.
You remember this, right?
Yeah.
Not a prayer or a like a Bible song. And I remember Helen would always show Scarlett a lot of these Bible songs.
Yeah.
And it would always make me upset.
I was gonna say, did that bother you?
It would totally bother me. And Shannon was like, Angel, let it go. Like that's something that is important to me. But then I would question Shannon, like, if it's so important, why don't you practice what you preach?
Yeah.
And it was a lot of that constant back and forth with it. And I remember me and you would go at it about it, and it was up until the point where my belief system wasn't in your head. Like, it didn't make sense to you. I remember we were talking about it, and I was like, you just need to know where I'm coming from my perspective. It's not that my faith wasn't as strong as yours. I just believed in something different.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the one argument we actually had together.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. That was, and then, I mean, probably that was the main thing, and then everything else just branched out from there. Of other things, it just branched off from there. But yeah, I mean, what Angel's talking about, guys, we used to live together in Washington, all of us up there as a family. And we would butt heads a lot because we just had a lot of differing opinions. And I think I can definitely speak for me that, I was not wanting to have a conversation. I was wanting to have an argument because I believed that I was right, and I wanted to be right, and I wanted to show Angel that I was right. It wasn't until I really, backed up, and God showed me my heart, and I wasn't understanding where you were coming from,
right?
And just seeing it through a whole different point of view, and that opened up a lot of things, because now when we were talking, and now when we do talk, we talk to listen to each other. We talk to understand each other.
Exactly.
Not argue and not prove what is right.
Right, because then at that same point, right, when we would go at it with each other, it was my point that you were trying to prove your point as far as being right, and my point was just to show you I'm always gonna be right because of my opinion. So I was very combative. So it was not all entirely your fault there, but you know what I mean? It's one of those things that, do you give a lot of people's opinions more
value?
Yeah. Not necessarily, but in the case of me and you, I know it was always coming from a place from love. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, where's the give and take, right? So I guess if that person is important enough to you, you'll listen to what they have to say.
I like that.
Whether or not you agree with it, just listen to them. Ponder the thought of it. Yeah. Give it a second look. Just one time. Just do it. Just to see where they're coming from. Yeah. If it's some random person on the street, give them the finger. Don't listen to them, okay? Because they don't know you. They don't know what you've been through. they don't know what you think or
Yeah.
where your beliefs are.
Mhm.
So at that point, what does their opinion matter to you? You know, if I don't share a drink with you, if I don't hang out with you, why do I care?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things that you decide what's going to get you upset. You
Yeah.
decide what opinions will have an effect on you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I love that. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's something I just really came to my mind recently. When I say recent, I mean like the past 4 or 5 months or so. But I think something had happened. And I was talking with my boss for Skyhawks,
Mm-hmm.
and he was telling me, oh yeah, it was we were at a school, right? And we ended up being removed from that school. And the teacher had made, or the director person had made some comments. And, we were just talking about those comments, and he didn't seem bothered by it. And I was like, well, I said, what, what she said, like, what is it? What does that mean? And he kind of just shrugged it off. He goes, well, it just, I don't really value her opinion all too much because, I know the kind of person she is. And that just like shocked me because I was like, you're right. Me, the way I was taking it, I was like, well, okay, that's her opinion. Maybe I should really dig deep and look into it. Maybe that, maybe I did do this wrong. Maybe I did do that wrong. But then you're like, that person, respect them as a person, but their opinion shouldn't be really affecting me all too much because I'm allowing that to happen.
Exactly.
And I'm giving value to their opinion, which I don't trust. I don't even trust the person, so why would I trust their opinion?
Exactly. And
Right.
it's one of those things like, do you stress over it?
Mhm.
Why lose sleep over something that they have no correlation to you other than they practically just gave their 2 cents about it? That's all it was,
Mhm.
right? Because you can get attacked by your character or myself. Like a lot of dads get attacked on how they treat their children.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own ways to do it. Everybody has their own teachings to way to do it. So if they don't like it, go have your own kids.
Go have your own kids, yeah.
Go and tell me how your parenting style and my parenting style is different.
Yeah.
And that's actually another opinion that I take in consideration. My mom's parenting style versus my parenting style,
It's different?
way different.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's mom was a single mom, right? So
Uh-huh.
she raised us very strictly. And growing up, I was like, hey, when I have kids, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Do I do some of it? Yes. But the other part of it is, I have another partner that can help me parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mom's excuse is, oh, well, the way, and they call it gentle parenting, right?
Yeah.
For all the millennial kids, you probably got somewhat gentle parent. If you didn't, then your siblings that are now born in the past 2005, they all got gentle parenting, right?
Yeah.
So my mom considers what we do gentle parenting. And I'm like, well, I yell at my kids.
Yeah.
I've given them certain spankings, but at that point they haven't needed to. So at a certain point, my mom's like, no, you need to be stricter with them, or you need to do this and that. And I was like, well, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
They're good kids. They're very good kids. And my mom's like, oh, well, you were a pain in the butt. You were something different. You deserved every single thing. I'm like, man, okay. But her opinion sometimes as a parent, I take under extreme consideration just because it got me to where I'm at now. I'm still the father of my kids. I have a really good relationship with Shannon.
Yeah.
And I owe it all to her to give me those opinions and those values from her.
Okay.
So, just be careful on what you take
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to get at. Just because there's certain things you don't agree. You're your own person now, and that's why I'm so curious on what your sisters, your twin sisters are going to be growing up.
Yeah.
Because now they have their own opinions.
They do. They very much do.
I tell Shannon every day, I'm like, I wonder what they're going to do. How does life look for them without, opinions from other people?
Yeah. Yeah. And for the audience, my sisters are twins and they're both 19. But obviously you met all of us when we were
Very young.
Very young. You tell me that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, also I knew my sister very young too. So, it's interesting to see how they're growing up. And, they got their own opinions, own attitudes. And,
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's a normal thing. But, even Scarlett, right? Your daughter.
Scarlett.
We were playing the Wii yesterday, and she beat me in bowling, and she comes over here and just does this little teasing dance because she beat me. I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, it is crazy. I know a lot of the things like, certain parents will say like, oh, well, don't make fun of other people when they lose, or, be a good sport about it. And you've heard me say this before. If you're not first, you're a first place loser. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And Scarlett hates that. And Shannon, she makes light of it. But in my opinion, that's one thing. Don't give out participation trophies. Don't just give an award to just showing up.
Yeah.
Like, give an award where the award is due, and be on our way. We'll try better next year. But again, opinions. Some other people say, no. Everybody needs to feel like they've won something. That's not life.
No, it's not. What I mean? It's not.
So your opinion then gets taught as a lesson to your children, and your children go out into the workforce and say, hey, I should get a reward for just showing up to work.
Yeah. Like you said, that's not how. Yeah, it's not how life works.
Yeah, it's not how life works. And I really wish so. I mean, hey, I go to work every week.
Yeah.
Let me get a reward for just showing up.
Yeah. I'm super excited to, I haven't told Monis this, but yes, when we start season 3, guys, I'm definitely going to add another microphone, and we'll have a little more space to add another guest on here so I can have 2 guests at a time. But I really want to put you and Shannon on here to kind of just stir the pot and ask some questions to get some good
you see,
conversations going.
A lot of the times me and her, we disagree on some things, but you'll find out that if you put us together, we just kind of agree with each other a lot of the times. It's just weird, just because you've seen me from being the person I was from back then. I'm no longer like that anymore. You know what I mean? So even for the audience, like my family members, like my brothers, my sisters, and my mom get to see a different side of me that knows more of God and kind of just says it out loud. And I was telling this to Shannon, the other day. I said something about God, and I think it was my friend Devin, my best friend Devin, that he tells me, he's like, I watched the podcast. It's like, once you guys talk about God, it's like falling on deaf ears at this point, right? I'm like, I'm just more open about it now. I no longer struggle with my faith in God. It just it's there, and I don't hide it from it,
For sure.
So
yeah, for sure. I love that. Yeah, and that's the purpose of this podcast, to give people a platform to speak their heart naturally.
Right.
I never want to give you a script to speak about.
Oh yeah. Well, so, you just showed me the questions today, guys. You showed me 2. I read 2 questions, and I was like, okay, cool. I somewhat know what's going on now.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, and so to end up on our support, to close out on the support part. I believe that. Well, let's start with this. There's such people called influencers, right? And I call that like a mega influencer, because they got a lot of followers on whatever social media platform, but we're all walking influences each and every day. You're an influence to your daughters,
right?
To Shannon, to everybody. I'm an influence. Everybody at work. Same for me.
Right.
I'm an influence to the kids I work with. I'm an influence to my coworkers, right?
Right.
So with that, Angel, how do you support others? Them supporting you, the way Shannon supports you, the way your mom supports you. How do you support others? What are some good practices that you do to show your support towards others, your friends, your family?
I think you just keep it real a lot of the times. You don't sugarcoat anything. I know my mom doesn't, so my mom will just tell me a straight fact for what it is, regardless of your feelings.
Yeah.
You just tell people the truth. That's as good as the support you can get, and I ask Shannon this all the time, guys, and maybe I'll serenade you guys one of these days, but I keep saying that I have a really good voice when I know I don't, right? And sometimes I'd be hitting, certain bars or certain notes pretty good. And I looked at Shannon, I'm like, I could be on American Idol.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't think so, babe. And I was like, are you sure? Like, I hit that really good. She's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. And this, it's one of those things is that you need somebody that just tells you the truth, tells you how it is, and kind of guides you from there. But I have a question for you then.
Go for it.
Who's your support?
Who's my support?
Who's your support?
Yeah, that's a big one. I have a lot of supports, honestly. First off, back to that question, I believe that the value of me comes from God, right? So my identity is found in Christ, and that's something that I've learned, that I've struggled with, because again, I've valued other people's opinions a lot of my life, and so I get that support heavily from God, but also my mom, my dad, definitely. There's numerous times where I call them and I just have questions, right? Just things I'm feeling, things I'm struggling with, and I can definitely open up to them. My sisters, definitely. You've seen me call Shannon. You've seen me call my twin sisters. So I would say just family in general. Definitely family in general, and then including you too. And like you said he said something about earlier about keeping it real, and I can vouch for that. You do keep it real.
I'm very honest.
I don't think you've ever sugarcoated anything towards me.
Never. You
haven't. You haven't. Every girl that I've told you that I'm interested in, you straight up have given your opinion.
Yes.
And just little things.
2 for 2, guys. 2 for 2.
Little things that I do here and there. Yeah, Angel definitely gives it to you straight. So I would say family is a big support of mine.
And did you ever struggle with either the support system or struggle with God during your parents' breakup?
Yeah. So I've definitely spoken about that. I struggled with that because and I've talked about it before, but I'll definitely share with you that. I was wondering, and you've probably struggled with this too, but wondering why my household only had one parent in it.
Golden question of every broken home.
I would go to my friends' houses and I would see, their mom, their dad there. I would see their dads, doing stuff with their kids, right? I'll get emotional here. And that would that made me question, right? Like why is this happening, God? Like, why is it my household that's struggling with this? And I didn't really have any answers, any support for answers. Back then I knew about God, but I didn't know that I could come to God with these questions that I had. So my support system, I think growing up, was my friends, just toning out everything, focusing on what am I going to do today? Just have fun and move forward with that. And it wasn't until later in life where I actually got hit with the train that, okay, now I got to start getting some answers for these questions.
Yeah. It is rough. I agree with you. It's been an emotional part. I think the only thing that's the most emotional for me, and maybe you can relate to this, is like you said, why does my family, God, have only one parent? And you go to school and it's like Thanksgiving dinner for the kids. And maybe your mom's working and you don't want to go. Yeah. Because you're going to sit with just your friends and you're going to look around and everybody's with their family. Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah, it is rough. Yeah. And like I said, I work with kids, right? So sometimes they'll, be straight honest with you and tell you that they don't have a mom or they don't have a dad, right? Right. And that, obviously that could stem from different things. Maybe, there was an accident or whatever. Right. But most of the time it's because the parents split.
Right. And you know what? Crazy story to that. And I don't know if Shannon told you this. Just recently, my daughter Scarlett, she's in first grade. And she came over and told, and asked Shannon, like, is it like practically normal for parents not to be together, or why doesn't my friend have a dad?
Really?
And she's been noticing like certain of her friends don't have their other parent in there. And so, Scarlett kind of asked like, well, how many grandma and grandpas do I have, right?
Yeah.
And she basically, well, Shannon tells her, like, well, you have two grandmas. You have my mom and dad's mom.
Mm-hmm.
How many grandpas? Well, you have my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scarlett asks, well, where's dad's dad?
Yeah.
And she didn't know what to say, you know? And when I heard that and Shannon called me, I just started tearing up because it's so hard for you. Like, that just brings me back to a state where I struggled with God to ask that question. Yeah. And now that I have to answer my daughter that question. Yeah. Super, super hard. So I answered it. I had to tell her the truth. You know, I didn't want to sugarcoat it and say, you know, oh, you know, he went to go get the milk, you know, so he never came back. But to explain this to my daughter at the age of where my dad was truly out of my life, it was super hard. So you saying that in that time of your life, I felt it. Yeah. I felt it, and I know what you went through, and I know how hard it is not to cry about it sometimes, just because it's an ugly place. Yeah. Had you have known more about God and how things would play out, and that belief and faith you have in Him, it would have been a lot easier. But at that age, how do you explain that? Yeah. So it's hard to explain, like, to a 6-year-old. Yeah. Where's dad? You know. Yeah. And then she hits me with the, "Are you gonna leave me?"
Oh my gosh.
And I started crying. Yeah. It's like, I'm never leaving you. Ever, ever, ever. Yeah. And it's crazy that I'm in this state that I am in to provide for my family as best as I can. Mm-hmm. And then knowing that I'm still here. You know, I made it, you know?
Yeah, no,
I just
for
made
sure.
It. So me and my siblings will joke around. We're like, hey, we made it, you know? We stuck around. And me and my younger brother, Adrian, we have that conversation. He doesn't like getting into it a lot, but we've had the conversation about us making it, and it's just we laugh about it. But I'm telling you, when she told me that, it brought me back to a certain point in life where I was like, man, I want to be here. I'm good. Yeah. So
no, I love that you said that you're still here, and I think we've had the conversation before, but that's all. For me, that's what truly matters. You could be going through, you know, you could be $10 million in debt, but as long as you didn't leave your family, to me, you're still trying your best to support them. You're still loving them. Right. That's it. You could be $1 million in debt. You know, you could, as long as you're still there, you didn't leave. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I've asked Shannon, like, you know, where her struggles were, and we at a certain point she got to talk to her dad on a road trip, actually. Shannon was so scared. I asked him some questions, you know, about what had happened, you know, and a lot of the times she didn't understand. And when I met you all, it was more, you guys were just going through that divorce, and I saw everything up till now, right? And you know, I've seen every one of you struggle with it, overcome some of it. But as you could tell, you know, there's still certain things you hold on that just hit you right in the heart, that you talk about it, brings you back to the day. And it just shows you that these are certain times where you felt the lack of God's presence, but not that you could have known a little bit more, and you would have felt a little bit better, you know? So. Yeah, no, for sure. It's just rough.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to link our last episode on that when we talked about, I think we titled it Fatherhood. That's definitely important. And that's a really good conversation. We could probably go for another hour.
We probably could, yeah.
No, for sure. But yeah, just to, I guess, wrap that all up. You know, I've had those conversations with my dad, and you know, he understands the things that went on, and he definitely struggled with forgiving himself and you know, asking God forgiveness for whatever the matter was. But that brought a lot of healing, I think, and it's good to know that and move forward. Like you said, that there's still a little bit of bruises along the way, but you know, in life we get opportunities, right? And then like you said, you get to be a father now, and you get to be the man that you wanted to have your father to be.
Exactly.
So covers up some bruises. Doesn't mean it heals them, but
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, it's
eases up a little bit.
Has
right?
some trauma there a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's okay. You know, it's I'm actually curious on how it goes for you, as far as when you become a father.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
a lot of the things is that, like I said, some things just resurface that you didn't know that was there, and it's just kind of like, wow, you know, this is who I am. You know, this is what I've been through. Do I do certain things differently? Do I feel a certain way differently? You know, so I'm curious.
Yeah,
I don't know what
curious too.
He's single, by the way, girls.
I'm curious too. Thank you. All right, Angel. So I know we're gonna head off to your favorite time of the podcast.
Yeah, there we go. Hot seat.
Time for the hot seat questions. I love this. This is my favorite part because I get to ask you different things. And again, if you don't know the hot seat questions, Angel, I'm gonna ask you yes or no question, or it'll be questions either yes or no, this or that. If you want to clarify any of them, feel free to just stop me along the way and go ahead and clarify them. But
hit me with your best shot.
Yeah, you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead. Now I hope you didn't peek over here because I had my things over here open. I just noticed that.
No. I actually been watching the voice little thing right there. But yeah.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah, this whole time.
All right, cool. All right, hot seat questions. Let's go. Superman or Batman?
Is there a choice of neither?
No, Superman or Batman.
Oh, okay. Well, Batman's just a downgrade of Iron Man, so I guess I got to go with Superman here.
That's right. He's a Marvel guy.
Yeah.
I didn't add this one on here, but I want to ask: King Kong or Godzilla?
Gojira.
That's another argument. That's one thing we don't agree on. I still feel like King Kong's I don't understand how the dinosaur can.
The guy's delusional.
Win. The dinosaur. It's a giant King Kong. How does it lose against dinosaur?
A dinosaur lizard that breathes I don't know, fire.
Okay, guitar or piano?
Oh man, acoustic guitar is great, but I think I gotta go with piano. Beethoven, guys.
Piano.
Beethoven.
Sweet. Is forgiveness for everyone?
God tells you to forgive, so yes.
Yeah. Is war good or bad?
Damn, that one's hard. I'm gonna say war is good, and to clarify, war is good in order to protect the things you love from people that want to take what you love. There rise conflict and war.
Oh, wow, I like that. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Have people damaged Earth?
Yes.
Are men and women equal?
No. Men and women are completely unequal. Women have things that they strive in, and men have things that they strive in. Stay in your lanes.
Love it. Chiefs or 49ers?
Oh, that's rough. I don't want Mahomes to win another one, so I'm going to say the Niners.
Really?
I really don't.
Oh, man.
Really don't. He's going to start getting, a big head like Brady. And he's going to say he's the GOAT. So I can't. I got to give it to my Niners.
Oh, boy. Age is just a number. True or false?
Yeah, as long as you're over the age of 18.
All right. Would you swim in the ocean?
Ooh.
Meaning, would you go in the middle of the ocean, just take a dive?
No. No.
No.
It's ludicrous.
All right. And lastly, did you have fun?
All the time. Love it being on here.
Sweet. Yeah. Those are cool questions, huh?
Yeah, I like them.
Yeah, I love the hot seat questions. They weren't too spicy this time, were they?
No. Men and women was pretty on there, but
yeah,
pretty solid. You really want the Chiefs to win it this year?
I can't go for 49ers. I have too many 49er friends that will get too big of heads to be around.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, as you guys can see, we are Cowboys fans. So
some of the Cowboys got to make it.
Today is the day of the Super Bowl, and still gonna go for my Cowboys even though they're not playing. So make that make sense.
Doesn't.
Anyways, guys, this has been episode number 6 of the BP Productions podcast. Angel, I thank you again for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a joy having you. And like I said, we're gonna head off to episode 7, but after that, an additional microphone is definitely coming, and some new production material will definitely be out. But Angel, do you have any closing words or any remarks, any shout outs you wanted to go ahead and give out?
I think the next time I talk to y'all would probably be after the baby's born. So
After the baby's
hopefully,
born?
if you guys me on here. But
Yeah.
probably when the baby's born. So here's a shout out to my wife Shannon, your sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's great. She's gonna power through this. We got 6 weeks till then. So I like being on here. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I'll have talk to questions for you next time.
Yeah. All right. That sounds good. So this has been episode 6, Wrestling with God. Continue to be a light, share life, share stories, encourage others. Love you guys, and we'll see you again soon.
Later, y'all.
Oh,
nice catch.
there you go. I'll give you a fist bump. Hold up.
Got you.
There it is.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.